We are live. Welcome to my thoughts on Arrow Season 1, Episode 6, Legacies. Bunch of dogs trying to hump it. This episode is rated TV-14, so this video be. There will be spoilers for this episode and the ones leading up to it. Another episode I love. I think for once I maybe didn't forget to mention something in the video before this one that I now... I guess we'll see. Anyway, yeah. Very surprising opening, did not at all expect, a bank robbery on this show. And, yeah, the woman who tries to talk the cop out of it, that is also an interesting thing. This thing of like, oh, yeah, I have a gun. Don't worry, I'm a cop. There's a number of people who are actually reassured by that. But yeah, not myself. ACAB. Anyway, let's see. Yeah, turns out she was part of the gang, which, very clever that, the mother's queen, the father's king, and then the sons are Jack and Ace. I guess Ace is their favorite son? But yeah, the cop is about to try to intervene, which I do also feel like I've heard is like a bad idea. Like that often just escalates the situation to violence inside. Like I don't know. It's been a while since I heard a bunch of those statistics a while back. But yeah, one of the kids, Kyle, I did not catch if he was Jack or Ace, but yeah, one of the kids, not super in control of his temper, shoots and great job on the squibs. That really helped sell it. And yeah, his brother is like, what are you doing? And he's like, don't worry, we're gonna get away with it. And he's like, nobody gets away with what you just did. But yeah, yeah, so before I talk about the talking about, I do gotta talk about, yeah, really cool sparring. Now he doesn't have to just shoot, attack tennis balls and such, which was one of the coolest of the training bits. But yeah, it's very cool to see him spar, and the thing with he hits Dig, and the thing about, well, did he give you some of the Yao Fei? Now I finally know how to pronounce that. Did he give you any of these scars? One of them. And yeah, again, like he really, like, Oliver really is treating Dig like, basically, yeah, similar to Tommy. Yeah, he'll sometimes be like a smartass to him and such, but he's not really treating him as beneath him. Otherwise he wouldn't have listened to him about the, he, like, Dig lies to him to get him on board fighting the, the bank robbers. Let's see. I mean, that's like 100% a rich jerk would have fired the guy working for him there. I think that does bring, but yeah, they talk about it, and it was interesting. There's some push and pull there because, like, Oliver insists, he goes after rich people, not, because street crime is a symptom. He wants to tackle the original problem. And later in the episode, we do see that is very much the case. And, part of why Oliver does what he does and why it means so much is, yeah, this, and that is a lot of the time the truth. People like, let's see, crap, I forget, there's a specific wording, but it's something about, like, one of the greatest predictors of crime is poverty, something like that, which of course doesn't mean that all poor people commit crimes, but a lot of street crime, it is motivated by economics. So, there's way less street crime in places where people have access to jobs, healthcare, baby supplies without, if they can get those things without resorting to crime, yeah, a significant percentage, like incredibly statistically significant percentage, will, avoid crime for that. It is just part of human nature. We want, we are social beings. We want society. We don't want just complete chaos. That is one of the reasons why, so many rich people are so detestable. They're trying to sow the seeds of chaos and then turn around and say, oh, look at all this chaos. But yeah, that was a good way to handle that. Let's see. Okay, this is probably not gonna be super chronological. Let's see. We have the thing. Yeah, clever. The thing about finding the ring, and Date points out, I don't think it's a college ring. It's probably a high school ring, which you know, yeah, that again is a major predictor for that sort of thing. The It's not that people who are college educated never commit crimes, but a lot of street crimes, it's not college educated people, and that's not neither the show nor myself being classist. That's a problem that we can solve. We can make sure that as many people as possible get higher education. I think that does bring us to so yeah. They managed to find Kyle Reston, and you know I'm so glad Felicity is on so much of this. This is like her third appearance. We're 6 episodes in. I don't think she was in the. Well, let's see. Was it the second one? I think that she wasn't in the episode from the fifth episode of season 1. I don't think, but other than that, yeah, she's been in like of the 4 episodes that I've watched since she first appeared. She's been in 3 of them. Wonderful, and she's like, I guess I should add personal research assistant to Oliver Queen to my job title. Eagerly so, just I'm sorry. I really, really enjoy how much like she keeps saying things she probably shouldn't, and almost getting herself in trouble, and then backpedaling and such. And it's also like this thing. I think part of what makes it work so well is that she's not actually complaining. She is just joking. She's just like, oh crap, is he gonna be insulted by offended by that? Is he gonna take it the wrong way? The same as she said, I'm your girl. I wasn't making a pass at you. Because like that's the thing with that phrase, that it could be taken as your girl, as like the girl you're with, but it can also be taken as like it's also just a way of saying consider it done. I will be the person who does that. Let's see. Oh no, yeah, and actually I think, isn't it maybe because a lot of the time it's when a guy is being asked to do something and then he says, I'm your man. So when a woman says it, it would she thinks, I guess the equivalent is I'm your girl. But oh wait, does that sound like I'm making a pass? I think that's maybe also one of the things that's going on there. But yeah, and the thing about oh, I guess you met at the factory. His dad worked at the factory. He never told you. I guess you weren't that close. Just, I'm really, really glad she's gotten so much screen time on this show so far. I hope it continues. Let's see. Then we have the what was the other thing with the so yeah, he let's see, they yeah, right, it was great with Dig saying the thing about that one of the names on your list, which clever, he knows the name because he now gets to look at the list, which is also just like, yeah, Ollie is like, well, yeah, that's gonna make him we're gonna be able to work together better if he knows the names on the list. Also really liked at the end of the episode where we see in flashback he finds the names, which like shouldn't have burned so many pages, buddy. Wonder how many names are on there that like. Yeah, maybe like by the end of the show, if he hasn't been able to recreate those names, there's just a bunch of rich, jerks sitting around in Starling City, being like, "I thought he was gonna get to me." But the anyway, let's see. We have the you know, the thing about actually yes, yeah. The thing with Carter Bowen. I really enjoyed the bit with there's so much to talk about. Okay, back it up. We have the two siblings, Thea and Ollie. They're so great together. They got such great chemistry. They really feel like two people who grew up together. The thing about the little jabs, the thing about, since when do you pay attention to how mom is feeling, because you're hurting her with your behavior. And and then they walk down and first Ollie, yeah, I know Carter Bone's the perfect son. You wouldn't stop talking about it. And Moira's like, I'm sure I didn't make that big a fuss about it. And Ollie turns to Thea. Thea, did you hear that Carter Bowen? And then she responds, and they, what's it called? Verbal sparring, I guess. Riff on it for a while. That was great. One thing I do take issue with, though, they claim, he was accepted to, Harvard and Princeton. He would have to choose one, and if he's going to, I would suggest Yardale. But yeah, later, you have the, he shows up late, and Thea like leans in. Thank God you're here. And she also does look like, oh my God, this just and then not very, that was also so Oliver, where is he? Business trip Sunday, stuck in traffic. Well, not anymore, you're not. And he's like, I'm not gonna, one thing I didn't miss on the island, Sunday drivers. Yeah. And the conversation there was also great. The thing about, oh, he's gonna make me the next Dr. Oz. Why would he want you to be a wizard? See, that's something I really appreciate about the show. It's not afraid to also have a laugh at Oliver's expense, because again, rich guy, no longer, ex-jerk, used to be a jerk. You got to be careful to not let it become just, look at this rich guy who's solving everything, let's see, I think there is a term for it. Let's see, it's not white savior. That's when he's primarily saving people of color, but it's there is a thing about like this, the rich guy who comes in and just fixes everything for, the rest of us who are just not as blessed as, that could get really obnoxious, but yeah, everyone laughs at like, Dr. Oz is not, because he's thinking like Wizard of Oz, and right around then, I'm pretty sure he does wish he could just, click his slippers together and go somewhere else. And Thea saying, Oliver, for all of our sakes, please start reading Us Weekly. Just, that was pretty funny. And also the thing with Snap, nobody says that anymore. Think that, but yeah, after not spending very long there, then also, the thing about, Oliver, you gonna take a role in, Queen Consolidate. Oh, I'm opening a nightclub, and Thea, like, practically, like, she managed to suppress it, so it's just, like, a chuckle, but, like, inside there's, like, an atom bomb of laughter going on, like, just, that wasn't exactly what Moira was hoping to have him say to, the perfect son over here. But yeah, he does, Oliver's not there for very long, and then, Dig shows up, and very clever, the thing about, there's a problem with one of your liquor, one of the people providing liquor, or something like that, and, that does sound like, something, and then he comes, and he's like, one of the names on the list committed suicide. He's in critical condition in the hospital, and like, if Oliver is gonna have a chance to make him right his wrongs, he's gotta go now. And then he gets there and is like, this is not that, and the thing about, doesn't really sound like him to commit suicide. yeah, but it was the best lie I could come up with on short notice. You know, that's very nice. And the thing with, you know, so this is, you know, wife, hopefully going to continue to be wife of the cop who got shot. And yeah, that is genuinely like, you know, yeah, Dig manages to convince Oliver to get involved. And let's see. Yeah, I guess, I think that was before he found out yeah, I'm mixing up the order. Anyway, that was before he found out that his father was the one who fired. That was also, you know, yeah, Felicity. I almost kind of want her to write like Hallmark cards, because it would be really refreshing to have ones that are just like devastatingly honest. Like she genuinely doesn't seem to realize like this is kind of upsetting for Oliver to hear, but it is, you know, at the same time, it is important for him to realize, because like, yeah, his father really screwed over this entire family, you know, and but yeah, she's always like, oh yeah, fired. Found a loophole in the union contract, so now they got their pensions. You know, they all lost their homes. Just like, yeah, she should she should work at a hospital, and every time someone has to deliver the bad news, you know, she should be there to like every time the doctor says, we're doing everything we can, she should be like, yeah, but I mean, he's not gonna live though. I mean, I saw the numbers. He's like, I mean, it's any second now. I'm surprised he didn't die before we walked into the room. Why are you dragging me out of the room? And I think that does bring us to, yeah, really great when manages to intercept the second bank robbery. And right, also very clever, the thing about, they brought this jackhammer, I think it's called, drill, and there's the thing about, oh, you can't drill into the vault, and they don't seem to, I think he says shut up or something like that, or was that when he hit him, maybe, or something, and later we find out they had no intention of drilling into the vault. That was their escape plan, yeah. What can I say? We see the hole they jackhammered into the ground, and it's one fine looking crab hole. And yes, review forthcoming, in case you realize what movie I just referenced. Anyway, then we have back pain that I'm going to work through. I'm getting treatment in 2.5 hours, I think, pretty much. Numbers starting to cease making sense, but we're going to power through it because there's not that much left. But yeah, very cool when he stops. And he's got like arrows that like form like a sort of net around so that they can't just pick up the bag of money. Very clever. And very tense when cops are involved as well. And yeah. Let's see. I think that does bring us to... So yeah, Tommy and Thea, that was like, and I appreciate he realizes later his mistake, because yeah, it's, if you're going to ask someone for advice on love, try to make it someone who doesn't have a crush on you, which like was also like, I think he didn't fully realize. I mean, he made that, he said like, did you notice your sister got hot? But other than that, I don't think he really... Yeah, like he says he doesn't really think of her that way, But yeah, when he's asking her, some part of her thinks, or at least hopes, that he means her and not someone else, Because, like, that's the thing. He didn't say who. He's just being vague. And yeah, like the things he says, I can see how she might have perceived them as being about her, like yeah. The thing about, yeah, so he says something like, she already knows that I have a lot of money and I don't look like Warren Buffett. She doesn't care. And there was also a thing about, did he maybe say something about, like, he thinks that he screwed up, that she doesn't think of him as like, because, like, again, she knows a lot of what he and Oliver have done together. So, yeah. And that was also, I quite appreciated, he's trying to do big romantic gestures for Laurel, and he, you know, he actually accepts her rejection when, he comes into the place and says, how about we go somewhere amazing, and he's got it all planned out. And he says, this is me being better. This is me, showing that I am more. And, she's like, I can't do this right now because of the donor. And then he later comes in and is a donor. Let's see. And that's also, when he says to Thea, you are amazing, and he kisses her on the cheek, that's way too close for, if, yeah, she has a crush on him, and she that might not have been the first place that she was thinking of him kissing her. And, when, yeah, again, if you're saying someone is amazing to their face, and it's not someone you're already, like, romantically involved with, yeah, try to make sure it's someone who doesn't have a crush on you. But yeah, then we have, so yeah, he goes and offers, and Joe is like, we're going to accept this, and I do also appreciate it's not like Tommy just thinks, for sure this is going to mean they get together. He's trying to make a gesture, and it is understandable that Laurel perceives it as, just that, and doesn't want, yeah, she feels like if she accepted it, it would mean, they're definitely getting back together. And at the time, she really isn't thinking that. Yeah, they're doing a really good job on this love triangle, because clearly Oliver does still also want Laurel. I don't know, is it a love square if Thea's also involved? Anyway, yeah, we have the thing about them sitting there planning, and the cake, and he does accept carrot, let's see, and I think it was the thing about, he says, so, I was, hitting on this girl, it was going well, if you know what I mean. No, you're being way too subtle. And, he goes to her place and he realizes he's been there before, 2 years ago, but he's had all this meaningless, yeah, all flings. So, and he says, with you, and that's also, fellas, it is not gay to cook. And especially, like, making eggs in the morning for someone that you really like. It's such a great experience. Yeah. Anyway, we're gonna move on. But he tells her, I was standing there in your kitchen and I was thinking to myself, wow, she is much poorer. I mean, this isn't just fun, and yeah, that's also a really great feeling. Not that I ever, like, had casual, that's not really my kind of thing. Not, nothing against people who, like, I'm a big believer in, as long as both, or however many parties involved, agree, that this is just, like, don't convince a woman that you want more than just something casual if you don't. Be honest about that. And if that means she no longer wants to be with you, then you have to accept that. Anyway, the party itself, and Thea sees and realizes, oh, it was Laurel, and she gets so drunk she bumps into the waiter and, throws up outside the thing, oh, crab cake, you sure it wasn't something she drank? And it's great because it also, yeah, Tommy was hoping that now they can, spend more time together, and then she goes and dances, and, she says, no, hold on for a second, though, Tommy. you agreed that the thing we're doing here is in part, the fact that you are, giving some money to my workplace doesn't mean that we're automatically dating. So logically, I can get some money from Carter Bowen, gigantic ass, without that being romantic either. So very nicely done there. Because yeah, I mean, a dance is not sex. I suppose it can be, but here it isn't. And let's see. Yeah, Thea's like, can you call me a cab? And he's like, you're a cab. I don't know how that helps. I'll drive you home, okay? You're too drunk to reason your way out of this situation, I think. I think... Yeah, I really appreciate how Joanna is like grounding presence for Laurel. Yeah, I think we all need that sometimes. That's again, I mentioned in an earlier video on this show, about how the show handles diversity so far. It could so easily, they could have had her be like the sassy black, BFF. And that just wouldn't, it would... I'm not saying that sort of thing never works in media. I do want to make that clear. But I don't think it would have worked as well here. I think that does pretty well get us to... So yeah, obviously there is... Yeah, the very ending, really nice with the thing about, the Borgor and... Yeah, he's like, listen, Mom, I know you have Damani, plentiful, but there might be people around with cameras. If you ever want a career in politics, please don't eat a burger with a knife and fork. And her also being like, this is, what was it, the best burger in and he's like, oh, so I do have one thing on Carter Bowen. Sweetheart, you have everything on Carter Bowen, which is such a wonderful moment. I love when parents are able to really tell their kids how much they love them. Let's see. I think... Because there was some tension about that in the episode. And also this thing of like, she points out at the party, it's like you don't even want to spend time with me. And then he's like, I gotta go, and they're really... That's such a strong element of this show and of a lot of comic book characters in general. The thing of like balancing the personal life with the calling to do vigilantism. I think that I feel like there's one more thing about the right, and right after she said you don't want to spend time with me, then he gets pulled away. So yeah. I think that pretty well covers. Yeah. Right. Really powerful. So in the island flashbacks, we have yeah. Oliver starts seeing someone, hallucination, not dating, which since it's his father, I think is a good sign. Better than the other option. And yeah, he's like, there's still one bullet left in this gun. And yeah, at that point, Oliver is willing to die, and he finds his calling when he realizes the names in the book. So very nicely done there. Let's see, I think that right. This was really an episode where everyone blows off Tommy, Laurel, and then Oliver. Just like, yeah. I feel like there's at least one more thing. Right, so definitely, yeah, the last heist. Right, and also, yeah, him going, Oliver going and talking to the guy who just won a bunch of money. So he's like, whatever. And yeah, he says, to at least to him, it would feel like charity. to take the job, and yeah, Oliver says, I'm really sorry, my father, you know, this man worked for my father, and he really screwed you over. I think that does cover the yeah, he drops in the listening device so they can hear, are they gonna change, and it's clever because it's one of those things where, like, a lot of times when you have a scene like this, it's like, okay, we kind of have to accept that they're not speaking in code, even though why wouldn't they be? But they have no idea they're being listened in on, that there's no reason for them to believe that they're being listened in on. But yeah, he says, if you change your mind, here's my card. Undertaker swiftly and with style. And yeah, they hit the bank, and Oliver goes there, and I like the fact that it really is just it's the out of control brother, and then it's the father, because the father, Oliver now has this personal connection to and really wants to save. I suppose no, yeah, it is primarily the father, because and Kyle is the wild card. He's yeah, like if they weren't family, they would, like, right after that first failed heist where he loses his temper, they would drive him to a restaurant and start slamming his head into the table. But yeah, I think that brings us to what's the next thing? Meanwhile, outside in the car is the mother and the brother from the other brother from the same mother, and Arrow starts firing. What are those called again? Never mind. And the guy came prepared. I really enjoy the because it's one of the, you got to have them every so often show up prepared to fight Arrow, because, like, otherwise, what are we doing here? Like, as cool as it is when he's just, like, cutting through them like a hot knife through butter. Yeah, we want to see him match up against some who can, like, go toe to toe, blow for blow against him, or they bring some sort of device, and yeah, a riot shield, yeah, that'll block the arrow. It's literally impossible for him to shoot, especially at that range. Like, hypothetically, he could arc it, but not at that range, So, and suddenly the guy's, like, shoving the riot shield up against Arrow, which also, like, that's part of what they were made for. They're very effective, I've never had personal experience with them, but, let's see. And he does still manage to fire an arrow into him, and it reassures the father he's okay. He'll live, And the, yeah, you know, the let's see. I think, yeah, it was the cop shoots the father, and he Arrow says, call an ambulance, and once the cops out of the, off with the hood, so that the father can see, because, like, he, perhaps more than any other character on the show so far, really understands, because, like, he was screwed over by a rich jerk. He's watched the news enough to know about Arrow, if he hadn't before the first time Arrow attacked them, then he definitely did after that, and before that scene, the second time that Arrow comes for the attack, so he knows, oh, this is a guy who goes after rich jerks. He meant it when he said he really does care and he wants to make things right, And that was also, like, this is the first episode of this of the show so far, to not have him confront even one rich jerk over what he did. And, it's not that there isn't a rich jerk, it's that it was his father. So, I don't know. Maybe he doesn't want to deal with a Ouija board if he were to confront his father. Anyway, but yeah, he, conveys to him, we're gonna, it's going to be okay. I'm glad that the cop did call, or is that a security guard? Anyway, I'm glad that he did call for an ambulance. I guess he feels confident that this guy would not participate in the No Kings protests. Uh, but yeah, I really appreciate, again, like, it's so important to every so often really focus on the people hurt by, and that's, the before this episode we had that with Peter Declan and his daughter, and now we have it with this family, Preston, something like that. Yeah, really nicely done. So that, again, like, there's, if it was, purely like, rich guy beats up, people who've done something wrong, forces them to do the right thing. There's other pieces of media, not all of them are as focused on, and I'm not necessarily saying that's not always a flaw on their part. Some of them it is about, some of them comment on how, I mean, if this happened in real life, for some people, some of the people participating in it, it would just be like ego boost, it wouldn't be about helping people. This show is about, no, Oliver badly wants to help people. He does care about the people affected. And so it's great when those people get a face and a name. Let's see. I think the yeah, yeah, the bit at the party where, yeah, Tommy tries to explain to Thea, that he doesn't see her that way, and is like, I've known you for forever. You're like my sister, my baby sister. And then she's like, well, not so baby anymore. Thea, I want to start by saying I really appreciate that you are trying to meet him where he's at, and like really confront the arguments, and perhaps try to counter some of them. I don't think the baby part was the only really significant reason he has for not thinking of you that way.